Hey everyone, it's David with ShamanMan, and I help empaths, intuitives, and energy sensitives in their transformation and awakening. And as you know, when you feel deeply, it's like extrasensory perception, right? And a lot of folks, when they feel, become overwhelmed. And in a lot of ways, that's because it's like having a cup, right? And that you're feeling your cup all the way up and you just feel like there's no more room for anything else, and that's when you become depleted, depressed, down, a state of overwhelm, right? You want to hibernate, hermit yourself away so that you can kind of like dump out your cup, right? And then hopefully fill it up again. It's a never-ending cycle if you allow the flow to take you with it. So let's talk about what you can do to keep yourself above the flow. So in my opinion, you were given your gifts out of grace. You were given your gifts to help yourself, to grow yourself, and to hopefully be a resource and a light for others. But when you're in the flow, when you're feeling stuff in such a deep way, a lot of us have a really hard time of understanding to be open. It's very counterintuitive, right? It's like if somebody punched you in the stomach, the last thing you're kind of thinking about is, hey, give me more, right? Opening up and saying, hey, hit me again. But in a lot of ways, that's what we need to do. You have to open yourself up. Resistance brings rest to motion, and that increases your pain and suffering. So if you're feeling a lot of stimulus, and then you start to contract and tighten up and want to hibernate like you're feeling too much, that's you giving away your power in a lot of ways and holding on to this stuff. So what you have to teach yourself is how do you become part of the flow so that you're not creating a resistance within it. So there are two ways. You can be in the flow, so here's the flow of waves that are coming, and you can be in here, and that's fine. And you can ride inside this flow, and that's what's happening when you're tapping into somebody or into circumstances or events, is you're in the flow, right? You're kind of in there, your tentacles are in there, and you're feeling stuff. But a lot of times that's overwhelmed, and that's not necessarily a place to stay. So how do you exist, keep yourself up, keep your beingness up, still honor your gifts without you becoming filled up or in a state of overwhelm or depleted, right? And so the way to do that intellectually, kind of visually, I guess is a better way to say it, imagining in your mind, is that you want to kind of stay above the flow when you're not working, when you don't really need to be with that person or that situation. You can still take on the information, but you don't have to be immersed in that information. So here are some steps that you can take to do that. Now remember, the objective here is you want to keep your beingness up. So you want to do things, activities, fill yourself with content, what have you, that allow you to help bring your beingness up. When you fall in that state of despair, depression, depletion, that overwhelm, the state of kind of like too much tension, too much anxiety, too much power like flowing through you, kind of trapped in you, it's really important that you learn to let that go. So here's a few things. One, you can walk outside. I know that sounds silly, but if you take your shoes off and you happen to walk out into the grass or whatever, into the dirt, that's a way to help bring some charcoal to your life, right? And to help you kind of let things pass. So just a couple of minutes of that walking around will do that. If you really enjoy sunlight, make sure that you plan some time and just walk outside and have some sun on you. If you need some quiet time, you need to put that into place. If you need a little bit of a space in your house or on your property or in a park, whatever, if you can find a little space that's yours and you can just kind of be there, that will help you to let things go. In other words, where you don't have a lot of people flowing in and out. So everything I'm saying to you involves how are you letting this stuff go. One of the ways that I do it, this sounds kind of silly, but when you're using the bathroom or whatever, you can envision a lot of your energy just kind of flowing out, right? And that helps to cleanse you. Using sage helps to clear the space. And you can use things like chaga and other things too that work just fine. And you'll find what works for you. But I think the big step, the big one that you have to be aware of, I guess, is that you're in this state, that you're heading to a state where you are losing your power, where you feel depleted, depressed, or better yet, not able to reach your potential. So understand that your objective with these gifts is to be able to handle them, manage them, wield them, learn to wield them, right? It was given to you out of grace, but you're supposed to do something with them, not just strap them onto your back like a 100-pound weight and you walk around with this until you get to kick off. This was given to you to be a tool, to be a resource. And it's a great, great resource and allows you a connection that is really hard here without your gifts. So it's a blessing. But I think part of it in an attitude is if you treat your gifts with reverence and treat it like a blessing, even though it's tough, it helps to make it into a blessing. So I know this was a bit of a bunch of little points all together, but I want to stress how important it is for you to keep your beingness up. So when you're feeling poopy, don't buy into that. Don't believe that you just have to go down on this negative karma vortex train, right, again, and take another ride. You can decide to get off the train. And wouldn't that feel great, knowing that you have that kind of power, that you can change how you're feeling? Till next time, be well.